you can see the bookshelf. I can't point. You can't see. I mean, the front door is still where the front door is.
Right. It's glass window now, though.
Yes. But you still know that this is the Chancellor house. And there were scenes, with Esther dusting, and I love the scenes with I did those scenes with Tristan, a while ago. And I can see right on those bookshelves, I was standing on a stool and hitting him over the head with my duster. So
I remember that. I think
Yeah.
I'm going to have to hit up a set decorator and see if there are any particular knickknacks that may have made the transition. Anyway, I want to ask you, I know that your famous first line was "Dinner is served."
Yep.
When you started on the show. But tell me, who were you? Do you remember who you were serving dinner to? Like it was Mrs. Chancellor, but did she have guests over that night?
Oh, it was a whole thing. The Bancrofts were over for dinner. It was a whole thing. You had Kevin Bancroft and Nikki was there and his family and the parents. And so it was a whole deal. And I was, that was the whole thing. Cause I remember I was so nervous about, that might've been the second day when I came back, I think. But I remember that I had to twist the wine, twist the bottle. And I wanted to make sure I twisted it right and didn't spill it. And I remember doing all that. I can't believe that's like, isn't that wild? That's 40 years. 40 years.
I know,
But
because if you think about it, in 1982, if someone said 40 years ago, that would have been, World War II, 1940.
Wow.
And you think, oh, that's like lifetimes ago. And yet 1982, I'm sure in some ways feels like yesterday to not only you, but also to longtime Y&R fans.
Well, it definitely seems like yesterday to me. And that's why I like to say 40 years and counting.
Absolutely.
I'm adding the and counting part, because I'm so honored. I'm so thrilled to be part of The Young and the Restless, the #1 show, the best show. I'm slightly prejudiced, but only slightly.
Y&R, for many years, when Bill Bell was writing the show, the storylines were more segregated. There wasn't a lot of crossover with other characters. There certainly was at the Masquerade Ball where the whole town showed up for it and people were under the same roof. But in the olden days, the storylines were more like Jill and Kay, for example, would work together a lot. And then the men they were involved with would work a lot, but they weren't always over like with Paul Williams or Cricket and other characters necessarily. But as Catherine's maid, did you get to meet a lot of the cast that maybe not other people would? Because sooner or later, everyone would visit Catherine Chancellor.
Right. Well, if they came to the house, of course, then I would, especially in the beginning, would meet a lot of different people, which was great. Yeah. At least I would have a little interaction with them.
And do you remember what it was like? You said that the original scripts had maid written on them. And then how did it come about where you were called Esther?
Well, Jeannie and I would always run our scenes together and we'd work on them. And one day when we went to tape, she started calling me Esther. And fortunately, I responded and didn't go, who is she talking about? What she didn't know, and what a lot of people don't know, is that Esther was my grandmother's name.
Mm.
So that was really, really, really fortuitous, really, when you think about it. And so she started calling me Esther, and she would, and Jeannie would get other people to come in. Whoever was in the scene, she would go, call her Esther, call her Esther. She did that, and so they would do it. And then the writers started picking up on it.
What was it like the first time you saw Esther on the script?
Oh my gosh. The first time I saw Esther's name instead of May, And that would be interesting, Michael. I don't know exactly what show that was. So that would be interesting to try to find that out. I was just blown away and so excited. And then we had a national contest for the last name.
Tell me
And
about that. There were some options on that. A magazine gave options and then fans voted, but then of course,
yeah, there were options.
Bill
And
Bell would have the final say.
yes, well, Bill came to me and said, okay, you can pick. There was Diamond, there was Valentine, and there was one other name. And because it
Abbott?
was through, pardon?
Abbott? No, I'm just kidding.
Abbott, Esther Abbott, that would be, no. And then of course I picked Valentine because I thought that would be good luck because I was married on Valentine's Day. And so it ended up to be very good luck. And in fact, I just want to show all of you because Jeannie gave me this ring for my birthday one year. And so I wear it all the time. I wear it a lot. And I really feel her presence. And for me to be here and to be in front, sort of in the Chancellor House, I mean,
right.
It's just actually perfect.
Can you talk about how her presence is still felt rather on the set? I believe there's a cardboard cutout of her up in the makeup room.
Oh, there it is.
And a note on, like a plaque or a note on her door that says, Gene Cooper's dressing room, the door was always open.
That's exactly what it says. It says Jeannie Cooper's, room, the door was always open. And it was always open. Whoever wanted to come in, whoever wanted to talk, whoever, she was totally open to that. And that's where we would meet to run our lines. And with Jess too, that the three of us would spend a lot of time in there running lines.
And the way Jean or Catherine used to say Esther, she'd kind of, depending on the story situation, sometimes she'd kind of bark the line in the name. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I know exactly what you mean. I mean, I think she had a love kind of hate thing for Esther.
Yeah.
I think she really loved her, but I think Esther drove her nuts as well.
Do you have an imitation of how she would bark Esther's name?
She would just, Esther, it was like,
That's it. That's it exactly. Brava.
Was that good?
Yeah.
Well, I remember, when I first met her in hair and makeup, and I went up to her and introduced myself and said, that I'd be playing her maid today. And she just took that beat and as only Jeannie could do. And she said, well, it's about time, and so I just loved her ever since. I do really, really miss her.
Yeah. She really, in addition to great dramatic chops, she was funny.
Well, we spent a lot of time together, outside of the show too. I mean, went to Karen, her daughter's, college graduation in Chicago. We spent a lot of time. We were on airplanes together. She was the one that found out that I was really also, not really, but also a flight attendant for United. She was the one who, as I had kept it a secret. But one day I was in Denver and I was deadheading, and that means they're taking me from, point A to point B. And so I wasn't working and I was in regular clothes. I was on the 47 upstairs, and who do I see walking up the stairs? Oh my God, it's Jeannie. And where is her seat? Oh no, right next to mine. And so she goes, hey, what are you doing? Were you here doing a personal appearance? And I couldn't lie to her. I wasn't going to lie. I said, okay, I have something to tell you. You cannot tell anyone. Well, sure. She said, oh God, no, I won't tell anyone. Right. I don't know how she did it, but I told her, I said, I explained to her that I flew for United and she thought it was great. So I don't know how she did it because there weren't cell phones there and there weren't all these things, but somehow by the time we got back to LA, everybody knew, but the show was totally fine with it by then. See, I was afraid that they wouldn't take me seriously as an actress if they knew that. So I didn't want anyone to know. So,
Well, a couple of things. First, I had heard the story that you had met Jeannie on a plane. I just assumed you were in your uniform. So you weren't in your uniform?
no, I was in regular clothes because I was deadheading. So I was not in my uniform.
And I never heard of that, deadheading. What does that mean? You fly,
Deadheading,
you hop on the
well, that
plane
means they were taking me. I'm sorry, what, Michael? Sorry.
like you're flying as an employee for free?
Well, no, I was working because I had worked to Denver
Oh, they
and
needed to
then
get
they
you
were
there.
bringing me back.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
so I had changed my clothes so that I could be like a passenger
Right.
in this seat. And, so I was in regular clothes. So I wasn't in my uniform. No.
Right. They needed to get you somewhere so you could work.
Right. And
What
that's
is
called deadheading. Pardon?
What is the best part of the plane to sit in?
Well,
Aside
if you
from
want a
first class.
smoother flight, you want to be in the front of the airplane
Right.
because it's bumpier in the back,
Right. Okay. Didn't know that.
Yeah,
And are you still working for United?
I am. I'm
Do you have
still.
a regular route or route?
No, I just, I usually would, just basically, work on the weekends so that I could be, or fly on the weekends so I could have
Right.
my time for the show. I mean, the show comes first for me, so,
Absolutely.
that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
One of your first storylines, like outside the mansion, was it taking the photos, or did you take the blackmail photos of Jack and Jill having an affair when Jill was married to John?
No, Esther has a brother.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So we haven't seen him. I don't know if we ever saw him actually, but I believe he took the photos and somehow, listen, that was the first time I got to wear other clothes doing that whole thing. And I remember them saying, oh, you're going to get to wear something else. And of course I had these visions of gowns or jewels or whatever. But then in the script, it said Esther becomes a bag lady. So I dressed up as a bag lady to go to the park to drop off these pictures. And so that's how that all happened.
What are your thoughts on Esther's uniform, that we don't really see her in it anymore, but at the same time, it's like when I see it in a photo, when I see you in a photo and you're wearing the maid's uniform, instantly, I just know, like, oh, great, okay, like this is Esther. And well, what's your take on the uniform? Do you miss it? Do you understand that people associate that with you?
Well, it's definitely iconic. In fact, the Hollywood Museum has honored me with an exhibit, and it's there. It's amazing, and they have my uniform there. My uniform, the apron with the duster, with the head thing, and also there's the first two scripts. That this is all 40 years ago. It's just amazing. But Michael, in the beginning. I would see people wearing all these different great things, and thought, well, we always knew what I was going to wear. There was no, you didn't have to worry about what I was going to wear. Or hair and makeup didn't have to worry about, well, what do we do with your hair today, or that kind of thing, because I always had the uniform on. But so in the beginning, I thought, well, gosh, how come I have to wear all this uniform all the time? But then I realized that it really, when you think of Esther, you think of the uniform, and it was actually part of her. I mean, look, she wore it everywhere. And even when she was kidnapped with Mrs. Chancellor and she was pregnant, the first time she had it on, she had a pregnancy version of it. So the uniform.
Your captors got you some new clothes when Esther became bigger during the pregnancy, and they were so gleeful handing you the box of clothes, and then you opened it. And what was inside the box?
Well, it was a uniform, another uniform.
A maid's uniform, only a bigger size.
Only bigger, yeah. Yeah.
That's sadistic Lil and Maury. let me tell
But
you.
then there was a time, I actually have had two. I have a dress uniform as
Mhm.
well. Esther did.
Formal.
And so that was the same, except the apron was frillier and that hat was like frillier. And so for parties or different, events, then Esther would, put on the dress uniform. And then there was a time they decided I wore a different kind of uniform for a little while.
Mhm.
But, I don't know, would be interesting to see how people would react if Esther had it on now. I don't know. I don't think Chloe would like it.
Well, I mean, if there were a reason to put it on for some reason
Right.
or something. Esther's had some love interests over the years. There was, let me think here. There was Norman, played by Mark Haining, and he used to be on Knots Landing. And there was David Leisure, who used to be on, I think, Empty Nest. And now,
Yeah, and he did those commercials too.
oh
David's
yeah,
great.
those
Yeah.
and then now Sam McMurray is coming on, and he used to be on a lot of, like, what show wasn't he on? I think that would be easier to do. But he was Chandler's boss on Friends. I think that's something that a lot of people might remember him for. Can you tease a little bit about who Sam will be playing, and what was it like working with him?
Well, he will be playing Dwight, and he's actually the two shows coming up are really, I don't want anyone to miss them. I can't wait to see them. Actually, the first one aired today in Canada because they're a day ahead. And so so it's on tomorrow. So I'm so excited. And there's lots of flashbacks in there. So shows from, 40 years ago, you'll be seeing in shows with Chloe from long time ago. And then Dwight, I mean, I really want you guys to see it. So I don't want to say
No,
too much.
don't spoil anything that's happened. But well, in the flashback show, though, we've already seen those.
Pardon?
Well, we've already seen the flashback show if we were watching the first time.
Well, yes, if you were watching the first time, but there are some people that have not watched. I don't know why, but they haven't watched The Young and the Restless for 40 years ago.
Well, they use that old excuse that they weren't born yet, but I don't know.
Well, they weren't born yet. That's right. But now that they are, they need to watch. And so see, I love that because we don't have reruns. So
Right.
So that was one thing during the pandemic in the beginning when we weren't able to tape new shows that I loved, we could see this, like the Masquerade Ball. It was so exciting for me to see that. And whether you saw the show or hadn't before, then you can say, wow, I remember that. So I love those kind of things. But Chloe in this show coming up feels that her mother, meaning me, needs to have a different kind of life. So she's trying to help me. And Esther has, Esther's done some crazy things, as we all know.
Not the best luck in love.
No, unfortunately, Esther has not. But there is something coming up, so you don't want to miss Monday's show. But what's going to happen with that, I don't know. So hopefully everybody will like it, and you need to let people know that you like it, because actually, they pay attention to the fans and the viewers. So
Absolutely.
It's really, really important. I know that that I believe CBS has a comment line. There's places that you can let everyone know what you like or what you want to see, and that kind of thing. And if people do enough of that, like for instance, okay, so we all know Esther was pregnant. Tiny was the father, so you can imagine what he looked like, right?
He's a big guy, I recall.
Yeah, he was definitely a big guy, and so people kept saying to me, where is your daughter? Where is your daughter? She was away in school, and finally, I think a lot of people, mentioned that and said, "Where's Esther's daughter?" And then I was so excited because they wrote it. And I remember that first day when Chloe, whose real name, by the way, is Kate.
Yep.
Little Kate, that's her real name, but she changed her name because she was embarrassed by her mother because her mother was the maid. So she didn't want anyone to know that Esther was her mother. So that's why she changed her name to Chloe. And that first day when she came into the house and realized that she was there, and I had a tray of champagne and dropped it. And can you imagine that had to be done in one? We better do that in one take, or I would have been in big trouble. So
that clanging
went
is
well.
still in my ears.
Pardon?
The clanging
what?
from the tray falling.
Oh, the clanging.
Yeah.
Michael, you're so funny.
Thank you, Kate. What I would think she would change her name to like Kate Mitchell. I mean, is from like Kate Valentine.
Oh, the Chloe. Well,
Yeah, change the last name, not the first name. But
well, I don't know.
That's not our job.
I don't know. She was not happy with
no.
her.
And let me ask you this, and without saying whether or not this is in the flashback episode, but I remember that after Esther's non-legal husband, Norman, whom she married with a fake minister because Catherine didn't think he was on the up and up, which he wasn't. And he killed Rex when Rex caught him trying to steal from the, but I thought knowing Esther, she's going to blame herself. And she did.
Of course.
And I remember that scene where she was ready to like leave the mansion. I don't think she was in the maid's uniform that day. She was going to pack Chloe up, or Kate, who's a baby, and leave because she couldn't live with the guilt and the pain in Mrs. Chancellor's eyes. And can you talk about that scene where you were going to like, Esther was going to move out, and what did Catherine do?
Well, yes, Esther, she had little Kate, she was holding her hand. She was a little girl at that point. And I remember this. Oh my God, we were walking out the door and Mrs. Chancellor says, Esther, don't go. I mean, you get,
yeah,
it's even to this day, all these years and years ago, I still remember that and turned around. And it's a good thing she said that because I came back.
Yeah.
I'm still there.
What is that, late 93?
Is that when it, well, is that when it was?
Yeah. My mind's like a grid. Don't ask me what I did yesterday, but I'm pretty good.
I think you do a great job, Michael. Do a good job.
Thank you, Kate. I appreciate that. I do want to open it up for questions that we have from people. However, I do want to ask you something first. You have a film coming up called Shriver.
Yes. Yeah. Well, hopefully it will be out soon. It has Kate Hudson in it.
That's an all-star cast. Wendy Malick, Zach Braff, Emmett Walsh,
Don Johnson.
And you play a college professor.
Michael Shannon. Yeah.
What's it about? It's about Sergeant Shriver? What's the film about?
Well, it's about these writers and what's going to have this contest where writers come every year. And so I play the role of the college. I'm the president of the college. So she's very different from Esther.
Yeah.
But we, that's a funny story too, because this is interesting because we started filming that before the pandemic. And then the pandemic hit. And actually was in the bank before all this started. I had one day left on the film.
Oh, wow.
And I was in the bank and I ran into a lot of the crew. Some of the crew they were in the bank. And so when someone said to me, oh, Kate, we're going for coffee in the morning. So what do you want? And I said, really? He goes, yeah, whatever you want, we'll bring it to you. I went, great. So I gave him my order. I never saw them again because that night, everything shut down. And got an email that, okay, well, we'll get back to you basically. So it was just on hold. But I recently did finish the film, finished that one day a few months ago. So I think they're still in post-production, or hopefully they're getting soon. Soon they'll be, it'll be out there. I'm anxious to see it myself.
Awesome. Are we looking at a theatrical release?
Yeah, absolutely. I hope so. Of course, I'm not in charge of this film, but I'm sure that's their intention. Yeah.
I just read something about the Academy. I tend to read headlines, not the whole article sometimes, like a lot of people, but I believe they're going to reinstate where films have to be in theaters for Oscar consideration, not on.
I read that as well. I saw that.
What's your take on that? Do you think that's? I mean,
well, you have to look at, okay, it's the Academy of Motion Pictures. And, I mean, this, they have a board of governors and they, change whatever their rules are, that, they have different rules they go by. And before, you could never, a film that just streamed, it wasn't didn't have a theatrical release, would never be able to be in consideration for an Academy Award. So that's what they're going back to. And the reason why they stopped that was because people there wasn't a theatrical release. I mean, the people couldn't go to theaters and theaters weren't open. So that's why they did that. But now that theaters are open right now, that's what they're doing. I can't really speak to that because, I'm not on their board of governors.
Right. I guess it's always an evolving process.
Right.
I think I would like now, if we could go to Thane, who is going to ask you a question, and he will be using a computer to ask that question.
Okay.
And Thane, we are ready for your question whenever you are. Please take your time.
Do you have a favorite scene that you filmed for The Young and the Restless?
Oh, I have. Yes, Thane, I have so many favorite ones. But I have to say that actually the ones coming up that I just filmed are going to probably go, that you haven't seen yet, are going to probably be some of my very, very favorite ones. But up until that point, giving birth to Chloe was something that since I never gave birth in real life, it was really an amazing experience for me. And I will never forget that. So that's definitely one of my favorite. And then the Masquerade Ball, because I started out in this business as a singer dancer. I still am, started in the theater. So I did the number Everybody Ought to Have a Maid on the Masquerade Ball. And that I love doing that. I love doing that scene. And so that definitely is one of my favorites. And you have to watch coming up. I want to know what you think about these scenes coming up, because I'm really excited about them.
Dane, thanks so much. That was a great question. Next, we'd like to go to, I believe it's Sherry. Do you have a question, Sherry?
Hi, Kate. My question.
Sherry, where are you? I sent looking for you.
Here.
Oh, there you are. Hi, Sherry. There you are. Hi. You're right in front of me. I see you now.
Do you have a favorite storyline of Esther's throughout the years?
Well, there's been, anything that was with Jeannie or and Jess too, that we did together, I love. But I have to say, I loved, when I answered an ad in a singles magazine and got them to play the maid and the butler because I lied. Well, I stretched the truth and said I was the lady of the house. Well, I was the lady of the house because I took care of it. So I wasn't really a huge lie. And so those were great scenes. Those were so much fun to play and to do. But once again, I'm hoping that these scenes that I just did are gonna, hopefully they will evolve and turn into something, and then we'll see. But that was a lot of fun playing that part, doing that.
We look forward to
when they were the maid and the butler. I can still see them dressed up like that. It was so fun. It was so funny. It really was.
Sure. Jeannie had that kind of that, I don't know if seething's the right word, but she was like, I can't believe I'm doing this. It was hilarious.
Yeah. It was like
comedy on soaps.
Pardon, Michael? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
It's difficult to effectively do comedy in the soap opera genre.
Well, and in the beginning, of course, there wasn't any comedy. And I think Esther became the comic relief of the show.
Yep.
Basically because I had to do everything with I didn't have that many lines. So I had to do things. I don't even know if I could do it in this day and age now because everything is so fast. You get one take, they really try to do one take. But back then I would do things. I would ask for stuff like I asked props for a spoon with melted chocolate on it. And they went, what? Okay. And so then I'm opening the door and have this wooden spoon in with chocolate trying to open. So she became comic because really I knew that if I didn't do something, I would be gone. I can't just open the door and say, Mrs. Chancellor, so-and-so is here. So I knew if they didn't like it, I'd be gone. And, but if I didn't do anything, I'd be gone. So I just, had to.
You made the most of every opportunity.
Thanks, Sherry. I tried.
did.
And there were things like going, but everything I did, I wouldn't just spring it on them. I mean, you block the scene first. See, first you go down and you block it, which means they're telling so the cameraman, because cameras can see where you're going. So I would always do what I was going to do. I never sprung it on them, but I would
give it a little something extra.
Yeah, I tried, to do that. Well, one day.
I think that's why the fans love you. I mean, you can always get, that something extra.
You just made my day. You so made my day. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you for saying that. I really, really appreciate that.
And next we have a question, I believe, from, is it Amber?
Yes.
Amber, I see you.
Hi.
Hi.
You were actually my first interview when I started in the soap opera world. So
wow.
Thank you, because that meant so much to me, and you were so kind and lovely. And I just tell everybody how amazing you are. So
oh my
gosh, you're the best.
Okay, so, you guys, I'm moving in with all of you because I can set up the spare room. You just let me know when. Okay. How many years ago was that? When was that?
It was like 2014, 15. And then I went to your high tea that year and you invited me. And that was so sweet too.
Yeah. So you have to come again. Everyone, hopefully, because we hope that the next one's going to be in Toronto, December 11th.
Yeah, I'm right outside Toronto, so I will definitely be there.
Okay, I can't wait to see you. It's not that far away, so hopefully that will happen. But thank you for saying that.
Oh, you're so sweet. So my question is, what was your favorite rivalry to play out? I've actually
well, it's still going on. I mean, with Jill, oh my gosh, I love Jess Walton in real life, as you know. But she just always called Esther names, like Chihuahua and sharp. You're not the sharpest knife in the drawer. In fact, she'd come in and, we'd be running lines and she would say, okay, what should I call you today? I said, how about, something nice? I mean, no, she didn't want anything nice. No, well, let's see. What can I call you? And she'd be thinking of what she, disparaging remarks she could say to Esther. But so, and I think, with Esther, she would always protect Mrs. Chancellor no matter what. And even to this day, that Mrs. Chancellor, unfortunately, is not there, Esther will stand up for her and support her and will not let anyone say anything bad about Mrs. C. And that was another thing. I started that, Mrs. C. There wasn't, that was not, no one called her Mrs. C before that. And in fact, then when she married Rex Sterling, he started calling her Mrs. S. I don't know if you remember that.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Kate, what did you think of the addition of Catherine's portrait hanging in the living room at the Chancellor Mansion. You've seen that, right?
Oh, I love that. That's exactly where it should be.
Yeah.
You know, it's such I'm sorry, no matter who's in the house or who's living there at the moment, it's still the Chancellor House in my book. And you feel her presence there in every way. The stairs, you can see the stairs behind me, you know,
Yep.
just going up the stairs. You know, you feel her presence, and that's her portrait should be there, I believe.
I mean, it makes it so easy for anyone who knows her to kind of look up at that and say, well, what do you think I should do? Or I wish you were here, or any of those things that we think about with someone who's no longer with us. And the portrait just creates this wonderful visual. And it's a nice portrait too. It really captures her. It's a beautiful portrait. I don't know who
Oh, it's gorgeous. And I can hear her speaking through it, really. You know, I'm so glad. I'm so proud of our show that they honor her that way.
Mhm.
That makes me very happy. She should be honored. For goodness sakes, it's Jeannie Cooper, it's Mrs. Chancellor. And I'm just so proud of our show that they do that.
So the second part of my question is if Esther could have a new rivalry now, that's not Jill, who would you like to have scenes with as a rival? Because Esther can be feisty. So
that is a good one. That I have never been asked that question. That is a really good question. You know what? I think it would be really, really fun to work with Michelle Stafford. And I think it would be interesting to see Phyllis and Esther together. Maybe they could join forces. Maybe it wouldn't be a rivalry. Maybe they could join forces to be a rivalry against someone else. I don't know. I haven't figured that one. I don't know. But I think it would be really great.
Well,
what do you think about that?
How does Esther get along with Diane? Because that would probably be
well, that would be good too. I mean, Esther didn't spend a lot of time with Diane, so I think before.
She and Phyllis. So if there was any kind of, like, you know, the friend of my enemy is my, or whatever, however that works.
Well, exactly. It's like keep your friends close, but keep your enemies even closer. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
so yeah. So actually, that would be really cool to have Phyllis and Esther do, you know, something to Diane, and Esther would probably screw it up because she's so good at that. So that might be fun too. I don't know, but I think it would. That's a great question, and those scenes would be really fun for me to play anyway.
I just want to thank you again for helping me kick off a career in soap operas, because you gave me a lot of inspiration. So thank you so much.
I can't thank you enough for saying that. Look what you're doing. Look what all of you are doing for me. And believe me, I am so honored, and I'm so thrilled to be here with all of you. And anytime, whenever you guys need me, you know, I will be there. And because guess what? We're all in this together. Yeah. We are. And we want to make sure that this genre and this medium keeps going and thrives. Yes. And so we need to, it's been going all these years. I mean, Young and the Restless next year, it's going to be 50 years. My goodness, 50 years next year. And then that'll be 41 for me, because I'm saying 40 and counting, right? So we're all in this together. And if it wasn't for all of you, well, what's the point? We wouldn't be here. So thank you. I'm honored to know you, and I can't wait to see you in Toronto.
I can't wait to see you again in Toronto.
Kate, Amber does these terrific videos for Soap Hub. I'll send you the link so that you can watch her work.
Oh, thanks,
really.
Oh my gosh. If I get to see you again in Toronto, we have to do a video together.
Absolutely.
Oh, yes. That will be great.
We'll
Well-
act out a scene or something.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'm up for that. I'm definitely up for that.
And you can play Jill and call her something nice.
Right?
Or, yeah, or
Uh,
you can make up a really bad name. I don't
That's
know.
I couldn't call you a bad name. Oh my
Exactly.
No,
God.
I'm teasing. Jill can't, no.
I think we also have a question next from Sandra.
Yes. So thank you.
Oh,
Hello.
Sandra, where
Hello,
are you?
Kate. I'm right here.
Oh, there, I see you. These
Hello,
little
Kate.
squares, so I see you. Yay.
I just want to say I've watched Y&R when I was 12. That was in probably 84. Now I'm pushing 50. And I enjoyed watching you. Always wanted my own Esther.
Yeah.
But
I
I
don't
do.
know, she doesn't do a good job of cleaning really, but you.
I really don't care as long as she cleans my room. But yes, I have a question. What was your reaction when you learned that you earned a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame?
Uh, Sandra, you can't believe it. It was interesting because I found out I was actually on the airplane. I was working as a flight attendant that day. And I was flying a trip, I believe to Denver again. It was really early morning. And I decided to check my messages because I usually do not fly during the week. I'd only fly on the weekends. But this happened to be a weekday. So I thought I better check my messages because no one knew I left because that was just really early. I was just going to go and come back. So I was listening to, I'm listening to my messages and I'm half awake. It's really early. And there was a message from Johnny Grant, who was the honorary mayor of Hollywood. And he said, "Hey, Kate, congratulations." And I'm thinking, what is he congratulating me for? But the show had just won the Emmy. And so I thought, wow, that's so nice of him to call me to say congratulations. And so this just affects me to this day. He said, "Yes, congratulations, because you, Kate Linder, are receiving, again, hard to say, a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame." And I cannot tell you what that was like. So because I would see those stars as a little girl, I would see them. And as recently as even right before that, my husband and I were coming out of the Pantages of the theater. And I said to Ron, I said, "Can you imagine what that would be like?" I can't even imagine what that would be like, receiving a star. And so to hear that, and I'm crying, and this flight attendant comes up to me and she goes, "Oh my God, what's wrong?" And she thought someone died, she didn't know what was going on. So I told her, and she says, "Well, okay," because now by this point, the passengers are getting on board, right? Because we're getting new passengers. I'm trying to go, well, I have to call Ron, I have to call my publicist and my manager. I mean, I have to call my parents. And so she said, "Okay, go do, I'll take care of that." And then meanwhile, the captain came out and he goes, "What is going on around here?" So somebody told him. So after we took off and we're in the air, and he said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you know this, but your purser today," because I usually fly purser on the airplane. So they had 5 attendants. So he said, "Your purser on the plane is Kate Linder, and she is receiving a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame." And so that's how people heard. I still can't believe it. I'm so honored. I remember that day of the star. There was this tour bus going by on Hollywood Boulevard, and I could hear him, the tour guide, speaking, and he said, "Oh, ladies and gentlemen, you're in luck because Kate Linder is receiving a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame." And so I remember that. So that was just, oh gosh, you guys see, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, you make me a little
Anyway.
bit teary.
It is, because I can't believe it. I have to go there and make sure it's still there, because I can't believe it's there in the first place. it was a huge, huge honor. And that's how I found out. And it has to do with something with uniforms, because I had a uniform then and wore a uniform on the show. I'm not sure, but what an honor. What an honor.
Thank you for that wonderful
asking me
answer.
that.
Well,
Pardon?
Sandra,
Pardon?
Oh, thank you for that wonderful answer.
Thank you for the lovely, beautiful, wonderful question. I appreciate it.
Sandra, we're going to start calling you Barbara Walters now because you make the interview subjects cry.
Yeah, you made me cry. No, that's good. But just see, it's just emotional. It's like this whole 40 years is, guys have no idea. It's been such an emotional experience for me, because I think of that and go, well, that makes me 40 years older too. So there you go. That's a whole nother thing. But to be here, this is what I love. This is all I ever wanted to be. I don't know if you guys realize that I never wanted to be anything else that little girls want to be. This is all I ever wanted to do. So it's a huge, huge honor for me.
Well, Kate, that's wonderful and very sweet. I think this might be a great place to wrap up, unless there was anything else you wanted to add. You've been very eloquent and generous with your time, and we truly appreciate it.
Well, I just want each and every one of you to know that this is very special for me to be able to do this with all of you. I so appreciate that you care about our show, which is the best as far as I'm concerned, and that you care about Esther and character and just everything. Like I said, I wouldn't be here if it weren't for each and every one of you. And I so appreciate your support and through all the years and all the things you love, what you love or what you don't love. It's all very, very special for me. And I've had great things happen because all of it. I've done 4 USO tours. I've done just amazing, amazing things and the main thing is being able to give back, and raised over several $1 million for charities and to help people. And I wouldn't be able to do that if I didn't have this. The show has afforded me the platform to be able to do that. So
that's amazing. Kate, I did want to introduce you to one last attendee here, Soap Hub editor, Rachel Dillon. And I don't know if you recognize the name, but Rachel wrote the Performer of the Week for you on Soap Hub earlier this year.
Oh, Rachel, where are you? I can't wave at me. I can't. Oh, there you are. You have no idea what you did when you did that. That also made me cry. That made me so happy, and that you did that. And I was so honored. And I really hope you love these scenes coming up, because I'm so excited about them. And thank you for saying what you said and putting that out there.
Do we want to unmute Rachel in case she has something to say? And
Rachel is unmuted. I'm not sure if your audio is working, Rachel, but you are unmuted.
Rachel, can you hear me? You can't hear me?
She can hear you. She's just not plugged into.
We can't hear her. She's
Right.
very lovely. And I'll have you know, Kate, that we have healthy debates here about who will be the performers of the week from each of the shows. And I believe we were all in the majority that week that you would be the candidate.
Well, those scenes to find out, those were the scenes with correct when I found out Chloe was alive.
This was.
Or no, that's what another one. No, you're talking about.
This was something more recent, I believe.
Oh, yes.
In December.
Yes.
I'm feeling. Rachel typed it in the chat. December.
Rachel, what did you say? Oh.
December. So the scenes that were airing then were of note.
Oh no, yes, that was very recent. And yes. Listen, did you guys care? You have no idea how much that means to me. You guys are all, you see, that's what I mean about being in this together. We're all in it together. You guys care. And that is so, so important. And I care about all of you, believe me. Believe me.
Well,
You're just as much a part of this as anybody else. You know
that means a
that.
lot, Kate, because we have a real fun job touting this genre that we love so much. Do you have plans to go to the Emmys? Because we'll have a contingent there, and we hope that you'll combine.
I hope so. I hope I'm gonna get to go, and
Good.
I don't know what I'm wearing yet, but I hope I get to go.
Well, I
So
will.
that's exciting. We have 18 nominations. Isn't
Yeah.
that great? That's
That's
the
amazing.
most, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I'm excited to be part of that, and and it will be great. It will be great if we be able to go, because then we'll all be able to see each other and do it in
Yeah.
person, and that would be really great too.
Absolutely. Well, listen, I will let you go. Thank you so much for coming by. And if we can maybe unmute everybody and give a round of applause for Kate for coming.
Thank you so much.
I thank all of you. Thank you. So thank you for having me. Believe me.
Absolutely. We'll do this again soon.
Thanks,
Okay.
Kate.
Thank you, Kate.
I'm
Bye,
ready.
Okay.
Forty.
Bye,
Thank you.
everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy
Bye-bye.
your day, rest of your day.
Bye.